Hi everyone, and welcome to class. In many ways, today's Dharma is the single most important lesson of this entire video course. If you can master just this one lesson, every other step you take will fall into place far more naturally, and you'll proceed along the path more smoothly and more serenely. No matter your belief system or religion, to come back to where you are is the universal instruction upon which all the other lessons are based. It's our firm foundation and our beginning. As you go along, you'll be training yourself to always come back to where you are, again and again, until you dwell there permanently. Let's explore this central Dharma in more detail. First of all, as we set out on the journey of awakening, the lesson, "Come back to where you are," also teaches that we must start our journey from right where we are. This may sound rather obvious, for how can you begin any journey from anywhere other than where you happen to be? And yet, you might be surprised how many people fail to grasp this central point. On the simplest level, to start where you are means you don't have to make any big, extravagant changes to your life. You don't have to stop having sex, renounce money, chant holy oms, run off to India, stop wearing deodorant, or join a cult. Big changes are not only unnecessary, they often lead us in the wrong direction, into sacrifice, deprivation, depression, and complexity, states which actually represent the opposite of the awakened mind and only lead to frustration. Important to understand, the direction of the journey of awakening is an inward one, and so you probably won't need to make any significant changes to your outer circumstances. You already have everything you need and are perfect just as you are. If certain external changes turn out to be useful for your evolution, they'll occur naturally as you go along. You don't have to force this process. More profoundly, the Dharma, "Come back to where you are," is the instruction to be present and come to rest in the here and now. No matter where your path carries you, what your life circumstances happen to be, or what thoughts are running through your mind at any given moment, when you come back to where you are, you instantly free yourself from pain and struggle by stepping out of thought and becoming centered in the immediate here and now, or the present moment. Think of it this way. In its natural state, the mind is like a still pond. However, events and circumstances of our lives may cause rocks to fall into that stillness, which then creates ripples, or in some cases tsunamis, to spread out across the placid waters of our being. Now, this is not really a problem. Left to itself, the ripples will eventually subside, and the pond will return to stillness. In any way, the truth is, it's impossible in this world to avoid falling rocks, for the world itself exists in a state of constant flux, which causes many landslides, both large and small. There will always be some rocks and ensuing turbulence to contend with. To attempt to find peace by avoiding rocks is a fruitless effort indeed. Fortunately, the real problem is not the rocks or the waves they cause, but our emotional reactions to them and our attempts to subdue the commotion. In fact, our reactions often create more problems than the original rock slide. For example, imagine that your boss reproaches you for not doing a thorough job on some work project and asks you to redo it. That's a rock. In reality, it's not a very big rock because the extra work will only take you a few hours. But instead of accepting the situation, you react and become defensive. You tell your boss that she is wrong, and you then proceed to attempt to prove to her why she is mistaken which in turn causes your boss to become defensive and even more firmly entrenched in her position that you did a lousy job. You may even go so far as to accuse your coworkers in a final attempt at deflecting the blame, and then make matters worse. Because once it gets out, it offends all of your colleagues, and suddenly nobody in the office wants anything to do with you. You've now taken a minor ripple and turned it into a tsunami of sorts. So it is that our emotional reactions can often become our own worst enemy. One way to avoid this problem is by training yourself to come back to where you are, which means to step back from being lost in thought and emotion, which is where all defensiveness really arises, and ground yourself in the here and now. The easiest way to do that is to become aware and attuned to your immediate surroundings. When something occurs that disturbs you and you find yourself swept up in turbulent thoughts, such as in our example, pause for a moment to be quiet and still, and turn your attention to the world around you. Feel the chair beneath you, or the solidity of the earth underneath your feet. Hear the bird sounds calling outside, raindrops tapping against your window, or even the hum of traffic on the street. Feel the wind brushing your skin, the presence of your own body, the life within. Sense the air drawing in through your nose and filling your lungs as you breathe, then exhaling back out again and again and again, until you can feel the solid calm and quiet of your deeper mind and presence. Truly, any immediate sight, sound, or physical sensation can draw you back into the here and now, from which the turbulence will settle more quickly. You can then think, speak, and act more clearly, free of defensiveness. Okay, guys. Over the next week, your assignment is to repeatedly practice coming back to where you are, to your immediate reality, as often as possible. It's important to practice this way regularly when there aren't many falling rocks. That way, you'll train your mind to enter the state of presence, and it'll become much easier for you to step back and find your calm center when there's a real landslide. If it helps, set an hourly reminder or establish other cues to serve as regular reminders to practice stepping out of the stream of thought and coming back to where you are. For example, if you wear a watch, a ring, or other jewelry, each time you notice your ring or check the time, use it as a reminder to pause for a moment, a minute or even longer when possible, to drop whatever you happen to be thinking about and sense your surroundings and your immediate presence directly. Repeat this exercise until it becomes a habit and you find yourself practicing even without the reminders. The more often you do this, the better. And don't forget to come back to where you are is the central practice of all authentic awakening. In a sense, it's the entire path. It's not just for learning to keep your cool. Rather, it's designed to help you achieve deep levels of peace through which you can transcend egoic conditioning and discover your true identity. Ultimately, every other lesson, while important, rests on this single critical practice. It is the very heart of your training. And while at first it may seem like a meaningless endeavor, and you'll definitely wrestle to quiet your mind down at times, particularly when you're already agitated, trust that with persistent practice, you'll get better and better at letting go, and sooner or later, you'll come to a state of profound self-realization, inner quietude, and emotional balance. Thank you so much for watching.